All right, and welcome to lesson 2, week 2. And today we're going to be building on what we did last week with regards to memory objects, where you learned how to take facts, things that were on your decide to remember lists, and to make them memorable immediately, right? To meme them by creating a memory object. And we want to create objects that are familiar, that we know, but that are doing unusual things so that they're unfamiliar, because our goal is to make them memorable. But just the mere fact of creating the memory object signals your brain that you want to decide to remember this item. So you've probably had some success already just realizing, wow, I'm remembering these things and I didn't really try that hard to remember it. I didn't have to sit there and drill it into my head. I just kind of created this object and it stuck. Well, what we're going to be doing today and this week is building on that, and we're going to be doing something called linking. And linking has sort of two meanings in our memory class. One is linking objects together so that we can have a list. Like if I said to you, start listing the periodic table of elements like we did last week, it's great, but you kind of have to think, okay, well, what are all my memory objects? Whereas we want to make it where you can very easily remember all of them because they're all linked. And we're going to link them today. We're going to link them through something called a story. Next week, we're going to be learning another technique. The following week, we're going to be learning another technique for how to link them and access them easily. Today, we're going to do something called a story. And then later this week, we're going to do another version of linking. And this is where you can link attributes, characteristics, information to a memory object so that you can store more information. So last week we learned that there were 6 World War II leaders and we learned their names, but we didn't really learn anything about them. We didn't learn what country they were with. We didn't learn when they were born. We didn't learn when they died. We didn't learn really anything. And what we can do, and we'll do this later this week, is you can store information inside of a memory object and really anything that you want. So as we move forward later on this week, you'll learn how to link information to your existing memory object and store information in that object so that you can make them as valuable as you want for memory. But today we're going to do stories. All right. And so stories basically build on, in the same way that memory objects builds on the fact that your brain sees things, storytelling as a linking process builds on the fact that we remember stories. Okay. If you go watch a movie, you're going to probably be able to, after the movie, come out and tell what happens in that movie, even though you didn't sit there during the movie and just decide to remember it. You didn't sit there and really store it in your brain. Our brain relates to stories. We've listened to stories our whole lives, and so this is something that's really valuable. I'm going to tell you a story that links the different memory objects, and you're going to, as I tell you the story, you're going to let your mind imagine that story. But once you do that, you're going to have that story in your head. Now, you might still have to rehearse it a couple of times in order to really lock it in. But again, rehearsing a story is just thinking. So this is where we're going to do it. So after you've watched this video, you're going to review the linking stories for the class list. Let's start off. I've actually taken 2 of them